Hey everyone, thanks for coming. This is Thursday. I had to start at 11:20 today instead of the normal 10 a.m. due to doctor's appointments, but I'm here to introduce you to this week's lab. This week's lab is projectile motion, but it's done with a simulation software or simulation website called PHET. So there'll be a link in it within the module for week 11 lab module. There'll be a write up like we normally have in Word format. This one has the word PHET actually in the title, so the lab is written specifically for this website. Your job is to go to that particular website and then follow the instructions in the procedure and fill out the procedure like normal, the write up like normal, and then turn that in. You have, of course, until midnight a week from today, so that would be April the 9th at 11:59 p.m. You have to have that turned in. But also, this is a time for question and answer sessions, and I see that one student's signed in. So, Zach, did you have a question? Let me turn on the chat in case he can't speak verbally. You're muted. I don't know if you're trying to talk to me, Zachary, or not, but you are muted. And I asked if you had any. Oh, there you go. Just see if anyone else had questions. Gotcha. I found your chat. Sorry about that. Yeah, very rarely does anybody show up to this lab session, but I always want to have it because I tell everybody that it's office hour for them. I'm just getting ready to go over discussing with them specifically the parts of the lab that we have to do this week. And as I was telling them, it is the that's not the one I want. It is the projectile motion lab that we're doing this week. So that I think I call that lab 9. All right, now that I can see this, I should be able to share my screen. It looks like it's it. Okay. So now I'm sharing the screen, which shows you where we are. This is lab. We're in week 11, and you see week 11, November 3rd. This is November 3rd to November 9th. That's supposed to be April 3rd to April 9th. And actually, it wasn't even supposed to be April 3rd. Now I realize why I copied it wrong. And yeah, I did the same thing over here. But, anyways, this is the lab we're doing projectile motion, PHET. Obviously, it says fall 2020. That's when we first wrote it. We haven't needed any major changes. That's why I haven't changed the date on it or anything, but it'll be pulled up in a second and we'll go over it and discuss exactly what we're going to be doing. Feel free to ask questions while you wait. I have the chat open, but you can also just verbally state a question or you can type it up. Either one is fine with me. Boy, it's really taking a long time. Let's try again. I'm going to try again by doing a reload, see if it does better this time. Still taking a while. Let's try going back to the modules and then coming back in. Never understand why it all takes so long sometimes, but sometimes it just does. Gotta fix those dates. That's some crazy stuff. Anyways, yeah, so Zachary's asked about the 242 test. I think I recall you saying after the test that there would be some sort of opportunity for recovery. Will you be sending information about that sometime soon? To be honest, I won't say this part. Yeah, so this second test was actually quite a widowmaker. That's actually more in tune with what my first face-to-face test normally is in the online 241 and 242 classes. So this one was pretty brutal. It might even been a little bit harder, or at least a little bit less. My students were a little bit less successful than they normally are, even on my first face-to-face test. But I'm not, completely immune to that. I know, if a whole class does badly, obviously I have some blame in that situation, and that's what I'm going with. Though I did have, a handful of students that got in the A, B range or whatever, so it's not completely unheard of. But still, I'm a little upset about the grades, and at the same time, I'm a little upset that I didn't do better to prepare y'all. I did mention repeatedly some of the very specific problems that were on the test. I want you to be able to do those. So my plan is I'm basically writing up a sort of a souped up homework slash practice test slash test situation where you guys are going to take this for extra credit, and what's going to happen is whatever fraction of that grade you get. So, for instance, you can get up to 100% of that on that assignment, and then based on what your grade was on the test, I will give you a certain number of points. Uh, for that, and by getting 100% on the test, you'll get 100% of those points. So, for instance, my test curving plan is like if a student makes lower than a 50 or 50 or lower, then they can have their grade basically increased until it reaches to a 67. So, for instance, uh, if you scored a 20 on the first test and then you got 100% on the actual assignment that I gave you guys, then that's going to take your grade from that 20 all the way up to a 67. However, if you got a 50 on that test and then you took the extra credit assignment, you'd still get a 67 if you got 100. But if you got, let's say, a 50, then you'd get halfway between the 50 and the 67, which would only be a difference of 17. So we're talking like you'd be moving up to a 58. Whereas if the student made a 20, got a 50 on the on the extra credit assignment, then they get half the distance between 20 and 67, and of course that's 47, and half of 47 is about 22, 24.5, something like that. So their score would go from a 20 to a 44.5. So that gives you a rough estimate of how I'm planning on doing it. The other categories would be a student that makes between a 51 and a 60 will get can be curved up to a 77. A student that makes as much as a 61, but no higher than a 70, they'll be able to be curved up to an 80. A student that makes between a 71 and an 80 will be curved up no higher than a 90, and 81 to a 90 will be curved no higher than a 93. And if any student got higher than a 91, they can only get, or got a 91 or higher, then they can only receive 2 points for completing the whole assignment. That being said, I still recommend them complete the whole assignment because it'll be instructive enough that it'll be helpful, hopefully. So that's my plan. I hope to get the actual extra assignment finished this weekend and maybe email it to you by then. Also, I'm going to plan on sending out a link to a video sometime between today and tomorrow, in which you guys are going to get a little bit further ahead by video as opposed to just pure instruction time. That's going to make up for some of the hours that I had where I had to miss one lab. So, any other questions on that, Zach? I know that's way more than you asked, but all right. Well, while he's thinking about that and possibly replying to me, I want to show you the lab has now loaded. So I can do that, and hopefully you're seeing this whole screen. It does look like you are. So this is projectile motion with PHET, and this is a link to the website. If the link doesn't work, which normally it does, but sometimes you have internal settings that won't let it, and sometimes there's typos in here. I don't think this one's a typo because I clicked it last night and it worked. But if you go to the website, you'll actually see a web page that looks just like this. The job of this thing is you can adjust the angle of this cannon, and you can adjust the muzzle velocity of this cannon with this lever, and you can also adjust how high it's being shot, if I remember correctly. And in here, your goal was to shoot it so that it lands in the target and that sort of thing. But what we've done is sort of conjured up a way you can use the same device to do more or less the same sort of data that we did in the lab that's face to face. That lab was done with a launcher, and then we had the ability to adjust the angle of the launcher, just like we had here. We didn't have the ability to adjust the height, but we just set the height at a fixed one, so that's sort of the same that we can do here as well. And then we'd take multiple trials in that face to face lab and notice where the ball actually landed so that and the way we did that was basically having carbon paper on paper, and when the ball would actually hit the carbon paper or the paper, depending on which one you put on top, you just had to make sure the carbon was facing the paper. It would leave a little circular smudge on the paper where the ball hit. Therefore, you could actually measure from directly under where the ball was fired to that spot and know exactly how far it went. And of course, if you did it a second time with the exact same settings, it wouldn't land in the same place. If you did it a third time, it wouldn't land in the same place as the first or the second. So it was reasonable from an experimental standpoint to take many trials. I think it's best to take many trials, but I think we only did it at 3 trials. That was probably enough, or 5, something like that. But either way, once we had the 5 trials with that given setting for whatever angle and found a certain distance, then that would allow us to make an estimate of what we expected it to be in terms of the distance for a given angle. So we could get a plot of distance traveled versus angle, and from that we could test that against our laws of physics, which allows us to actually set up the equations and predict it a priori. In this case, we're actually doing something that's simulated, and it's simulated to basically, in other words, the program is written to obey the laws of physics. So it's going to only produce the laws of physics results. So it's a test in the sense that you're going to see that this does test the laws of physics by your own calculations. So what you'll see here is this table is the table that we have in the regular face-to-face lab, and you're supposed to fill it out per the instructions. And when you put these numbers, these 3 numbers in per the instructions, then these numbers should pop up in the box. And that's the way you confirm that you've got your Excel set up properly. In this case, we're doing something similar. We're still using the same equations, all that good stuff, and we're still basically doing the same lab. And our goal is to better shore up, because this is one of the labs, since it's not actual hands-on lab where you're actually measuring stuff. You're doing it by simulation and by computer. Those labs are predominantly meant to aid in our understanding of the physics concepts as opposed to the necessary experimental technique, even though you are seeing some ideas of what experimental technique is. So that's what this lab report looks like. This is where you'll fill it in. As always, remember, you've got to answer all the questions. You've got to enter everything in that you do enter in typeset. Make sure it's not in a black font. It's got to be in some font other than black. And you will turn in this document once it's all completed per the instructions, and turn it in at the location in the module. So you've now seen the Projectile Motion Lab that you'll be doing. Now I'm going to show you where you turn it in, which obviously you probably already know anyways, but just to be complete, I want to make sure I show that. As soon as this clicks to module, I'll be going there. Okay, so now I'll scroll back down to module 11 lab module, or week 11 lab module. And I got to fix those dates. But this is where you'll turn it in as always, and you can see it's due by April 9th. Again, I actually have like three labs in the queue ready to load up their grades, so I'll be doing that probably today or tomorrow. And you guys will be a little bit better caught up on lab reports. But that also means, hey, whatever labs you don't have in, if I go and grade a fourth one, then that one's going to get a zero. But in general, if you have the lab turned in before I grade that particular lab, then I haven't been taking all points. I didn't guarantee that in the syllabus or anything like it, but that's what I've been doing. So please, please, please make sure you keep getting your lab reports in. I have noticed I've got a few students that have missed the last several labs. That's part of the reason I'm trying to delay a little bit. I'm hoping that my students will not get a bunch of zeros. So please, please, please catch up. And that's it. I think this is a pretty good introduction. Like I said, the main part is I usually just go over the lab, tell you what you're going to do, and then I open it up for questions, but it often lasts a mere 10 or 15 minutes, and sometimes it lasts longer. So, any questions, Zach?
Yeah, I'm just typing real quick. Sorry.
No problem. Sorry if I held you up by being delayed for the doctor's appointments and stuff.
No worries.
All right. Well, I guess I'll just go ahead and call it unless, like I said, unless you have any other questions or unless anybody else shows up. You can always remember you can email me, but the best way to contact me is via text message, and that because I usually can get those in real time. I've actually screwed up a little bit this semester, and I had so many people text messaging me, I've lost attention uh, to my actual emails. So I found out like Friday that I had missed several emails, and I'm getting ready to go through that again, see if I missed several more as well. So I apologize for that. That doesn't excuse it. That doesn't make it okay. I realize that. I just let you know I'm very sorry. I did not. I didn't expect that to happen because I was getting so many text messages. But that's my fault, not yours. So. Feel free to contact me via text message or email if you need help. I can set up these private Zoom meetings for me and you as one-on-one, or if you allow, I'll even open it up every time I offer one. I'll open it up to all the students, so if anybody else has any questions. Uh, but that's it.
All right,
I'm
I'm
gonna.
almost done writing. Sorry,
Okay, no
because
problem.
it was a because I started writing it as you're going over the lab procedure. So,
Gotcha. No
but
problem.
yeah, I'm almost done.
Did you have a question you want to talk about when you're done?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
cool.
going to be in the message I'm writing out,
Okay, no
and
problem.
I'm free to discuss about it.
That makes sense now because I was wondering what you were talking about. You were typing something. I was like, man, is he typing down what I'm saying? That's a lot of
Oh,
work.
okay, I got you. Yeah, okay. I'm writing down a question. Well, yeah, 1 second.
No problem. I'm a little less of a Paddington Bear fan than
All right, I'm sending in two parts because I realize that the message is a little long.
no problem.
But I'm free to discuss this like as you read it.
Okay,
Just this is just some feedback that I thought of that might be helpful for you to know.
gotcha. Let me read it right quick. Gotcha. Gotcha. You've been doing all this so far mostly without even necessarily watching the lectures that I give. That's tough. That's a tough order.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's probably how it's gonna be like well, whenever like I transfer as well. Like
Sometimes you do get instructors that really don't care too terribly much about it, and they're not necessarily mean spirited in doing that. Some of them just have a sense of I present the material in a way that someone's supposed to be able to understand, and once I do that, the responsibility of learning is on the student, no longer on me. And they would feel like they would actually be diminishing you as a student by doing more than that. So there's literally people that believe that way, and yeah, so the more you can teach yourself, the better off you'll be. That's 100% something I completely agree with. That being said, I don't think it needs to be that hard, but if you can do it, go for it. I'm reading the
yeah.
second part now.
Okay.
I understand that now. I don't want to say too much specific about the second test because I still have a couple students that haven't taken it. Uh, but I do want to address that sort of in a second. Gotcha. I understand what you're saying here, and I think that's all very good constructive criticism, and I'll certainly be taking all that under consideration. One thing I will say is, yeah, you definitely got burned by not being able to watch the videos. Even if you at least just watch the examples in the videos and skip through my teaching or whatever, that would probably be a little bit more helpful. The main reason is because there's a couple major problems that I warned everybody that you have to be able to do, and there were three of them that were on this test, and they were really widow makers. It's kind of a shame because two of them were supposed to be super, super easy, and I thought I was given a gift by doing it. And about 70% of the class did not get it right. So that was a bad scenario. And that's in two of the questions. And the third question, which was mathematically rigorous and three-dimensional, all sorts of stuff, that one really stumped a lot of people. But that's what I was telling you, the very last section of chapter two, when we were going over kinematics. There's the derivation process that we went through in deriving x equals 1/2 at squared plus v zero t plus x zero. That
Oh, wait,
solving of a
I'm in
differential equation, right?
I'm in
Oh, you're in
242.
242. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I was like, I wish I was doing that.
Okay. Okay. Well, then that one you're even more burn up
Yeah,
because that one was the one where I was talking about the Gauss's law.
yeah,
So make sure you figure that out or go back and look at them because you saw what happened on this test. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to say any more because, like I said, I do have two more students that haven't taken it. I think it's two. But yeah, absolutely everything you said is right on the money. I'm bummed out that the one time that I chose that could actually fit happened to be right during your statics class. I will try to be more mindful of that. I don't know if it would be any better if I did it at 8 o'clock at night instead of 7 o'clock at night, or excuse me, at 7 o'clock at night instead of 5 o'clock at night. I'm not sure that that would help, but it might be, and that might be something I have to look into in the future. So, do you think, and actually, if you could ask your fellow students too, did they think it would be better if instead of me going from 520 to 650, if I went from 7 to 8:30 or 7 to 8:20, something like that? Would y'all be able to attend that, or would that not be helpful either?
I think the time is probably fine because I know well we have our lab on Tuesday like right after the Zoom lecture. So
Hmm.
like if we did it like starting at 7, that's when our lab starts. So I think
Ah,
that
gotcha.
the timing is like I think fine for like most people. It just mine like just doesn't line up very well.
Yeah, I've got really low turnout. I get maybe three or four students out of the 18, 19 that I have. I only get three or four students that attend regularly. I haven't been checking the attendance on my YouTube channel to see how many people are actually watching the videos. I try not to pay much attention to that. I don't make any money on it or anything like that. That would be the one reason that you'd watch it. But the other thing is, I can usually just tell when the test grades and homework grades are going okay that whatever is going on is probably doing okay. But yeah, I'll look into that. What about my instinct tells me that when people take an online class, it's almost always because they're working during the day. Do you have any sense of how your students, your fellow students in your statics class, are most of them working during the day, or would it have been an option for me to offer, an actual class at like 4 in the afternoon? Would that have been helpful?
I think like I think most of them are working through the day.
Okay.
And like I think it's just something that or at least speaking for myself that I could work around and like
Yeah.
probably make some more time to like go back and look at lecture videos.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
cool.
think that's something that I could like do myself that doesn't require like a whole structural change.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just like me, I used to record my lectures when I was in college, especially like my history lectures and stuff like that. And inevitably, what would happen is I'd listen to the lecture, but I'd record it and I'd even take notes, but I knew that my note taking wasn't very good. But as luck would have it, when we had a final exam or a midterm or a test or something like that, that would be the night before would be the time that I ended up listening to all the lectures. So I feel yeah, I probably would have done exactly the same thing that you've done, and that's why I've often said I'm not sure I'm up to speed to take classes online like the ones I'm delivering, even though I work real hard to make it as easy as possible. Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it, to be honest with you. It's tough. You got to do some serious time management in addition to discipline studying and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, yeah, it really does come to down to that because like if I decide like I don't want to do work for 3 days, then I'm like way far behind.
yeah,
So it's
you're
like
completely free to do it though. That's the scary part. It's like
yeah,
you feel nothing until the test time comes, and you're like, oh wow, that hurt.
or like if I'm feeling like sick, it's like oh I'm just going to like rest today. But then now I have linear algebra due tomorrow. It's like oh I don't want to do this.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. And I think school is just going to get harder. And, even
Oh
the
definitely.
idea of having, a college/university type course while you're working a full-time job, I mean, that's almost counterproductive. It's almost impossible to do. We're making it as teachers, we have empathy and we try to make it a little easier so people can do that. But, is that a good thing? I'm not really sure because are we are we preparing people less well because we're trying to make sure that they can accommodate a 40-hour, 50-hour work week in addition to school? I'm not sure that we are, but I'm going to keep trying to keep up the level at here so that it's the appropriate level if they go to the university or some university next. They're not going to be inundated by a stark increase in difficulty, but at the same time, I'm also trying to keep it easy enough so that they can do it. So,
Yeah, as far as that, I think it's actually pretty it's manageable. At least like well honestly with like all my classes it's manageable. Like it is the only thing that I really like besides this like past test, I'd argue that like I really like the format of
hmm
like how you have it. It's like, okay, well, at some point you have to make time to like prepare and actually practice problems. Like if you want to do well on the test. Because you could do the assignments or whatnot, but if you don't take time to do the practice problems, which there's like however many in the bank, you're getting
yeah,
exposure to a lot, and
yeah,
then
exactly.
you want to get good at them. Like even if you just want to get them for the test, you're still learning.
Yeah.
Um, or it's like at some point you're doing is like, okay, why does this actually work? And then you look up, oh, I see why that works. Or at least that's my experience.
Yeah, that's the learning process. And really a lot of your learning does not come. I mean, it in principle could come because when I look back at like videos of what I've said or videos of what my previous instructors said to me and stuff like that, I often find that they did say the very thing that I was able to learn when I was doing the problems, but it was like that didn't come through to me at all until I was actually working the problems. And then I sort of discovered it myself and I was like, oh yeah, well he did say that. So, or she did say that, something like that. So, Yeah, that's another issue. It's really hard to know what's important when an instructor is talking. It like to really know what's important. The instructor says, "Oh, this is really important. You need to do this, and you need to know this," and you're listening like, "Oh yeah, that's very important," and you write it down, and then you get home and you're like, "That didn't come up at all in your brain until four or five problems down the road." You're like, "Oh, I can't get this solved," and then you discover this way, and then you look back in your notes and realize, "Oh, that's what the instructor was talking about." That's the way a lot of learning's going on. It's hard, and I don't, that's why teaching's not an easy job. But
Yeah,
thanks for the feedback. That is very helpful. I hope to make my YouTube channel videos a little more streamlined. Mostly, I mean, heck, 95% of the material on my YouTube channel are full lectures, and some of them are summer lectures, which are literally 3 hours long. No one watches a 3 hour long YouTube video. So,
right,
I've been trying to make individual problems and let them be the core structure. But even then, when I do them in a teaching way, it still takes a good 15 minutes, and it's surprising. Once I get over the 8 minute mark, viewership just drops. Like people just stop watching after 8 minutes, evidently. So I've got to figure out some way to address that because some of these physics problems, even if I'm not teaching them, you can't solve them in 8 minutes.
right.
Uh, some of them really take a half hour to solve.
Well,
So.
what if you did like this is just an idea based on
Mhm.
like what my other classes does, but like one of my classes does like a class notes, which like it doesn't have to be like class notes as in like what exactly you said in the lecture, but
Right.
kind of like we worked problem 6-2, problem six
Gotcha.
seventeen,
I
like so
actually
so
do
then
have that. You just might not be aware of it, but
okay,
okay. So if you look in my right now, I'm on my modules page for your class.
yeah,
If you go up to helpful documents and links, there is a Google Docs page. I've mentioned this before, but just in case you didn't see it or didn't see it in the notes, maybe I thought it was here. Let's see, Google Doc. Maybe it's on my syllabus because I'm not seeing it here now. I
is
should
that
put
two
it
forty
here.
one?
Yeah, this is a 241, but it's the same structure no matter which class you're in,
Okay,
so you
is
can
it the
find it.
I thought I just saw it. It was like Mr. Younger 241 Google Doc.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. So, and there's one for 242 as well. But every day when I finish my lecture, I take that and create it into a PDF from my iPad, and I post that so you can see not only exactly what examples I did, but you can also see all the work, all the notes I did. And if you look at the syllabus, that's where a link is. I knew it was somewhere. I thought I need to put it in the other part too. So I'll put it there at least next semester. But down here at the bottom where it has links, one of the links is 241 Google Drive and 242 Google Drive. So that's where you can get the 242 notes as well as the 241 notes if you wanted. But yeah, that definitely it helps. Not only that, the reason I did that is originally when I was making these videos, I was making them with just a camera, with a document cam, and I was handwriting on notebook paper. And I live out in Currituck, so we didn't have a very fast or very good bandwidth. So sometimes the signal was so bad you couldn't even make out the notes. So I decided to start taking photographs of them and posting them on my Google Docs. That way you could read them in real time when you were watching the video. So they're always accessible. That's also why I have the weird code. Like if you look in the description of each video, there'll be a code. It says like PHY 242005B underscore 0331 2026.
Yeah,
That's
that's the
the
date
yeah,
or
that's the
class
date.
code in the date.
Yeah, and if you do that search in Google, it'll pull up the notes for that day because I put that in there. That's literally the name of the file.
Okay, yeah, that makes yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
that's cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, no problem. It's surprising when you don't have that face-to-face meeting how much you can miss just little details like that. Like having that available to you. It says it in the syllabus, but the syllabus is like 50 pages. No one reads the whole syllabus.
Right.
That's why I hate how long it is. But yeah. So let me know if there's anything else I can help you with. Do you have any specific problems that were biting you in the rear or any concepts you didn't understand you need help with?
Um, Not really. Like I'm pretty sure
242 is
like
tough, so don't beat yourself up if you're having a hard time with it. I think it's the most rigorous, tough class we have at TCC,
like
in my opinion.
I felt I don't know. Like I feel like I got it like pretty well. Like
Hmm.
I had fun with capacitance, honestly.
Yeah, that's some
I
cool
kind of
stuff,
just like
isn't it?
yeah, I kind of like how just everything came together. But I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't have any specific questions.
No problem. Well, that's cool. I enjoyed talking to you, and I do appreciate your feedback. And by all means, keep all that feedback and give me as much of it as you can because I do appreciate it. And I try, like early in the semester, I try to find a better time, but it's really hard to get people early in the semester to give me times. Not only that, I think they were a little worried that if they say they're available at such and such a time, that I'm going to demand them be available at such and such a time. But I can't do that with an online class. I can't demand them to be anywhere at any particular time.
Right.
So that won't happen. But hopefully in the future I'll get better and I'll get the students to communicate with me better. We'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
until now, it's just a trial run and experiment in futility and hopefully expertise.
Yeah. All right.
All
Well, I
right.
hope
Well,
that
have a good one,
helps.
Zach. Thanks. I
Have a good
appreciate
one.
it. You too, bud. All right, so I guess that's about it. Zach was very helpful and gave me some good feedback that I can use. I do want you guys to make sure you start doing the practice tests a lot more. If I had my ruthers, I would not necessarily assign homework from the website at all. I would just have you do a bunch of practice tests. That would be ample opportunity for you to get practice and homework. But as it goes, we buy this package, and one campus buys one thing. All campuses have to adopt that. So luckily we're the only ones doing physics now, so it's us in Chesapeake. But the main thing is by doing that, I'm sort of obligated to make sure I use that homework system. So I try to do a small number of problems, and I try to do ones that are instructional. Uh, but that's because I want you to get the instruction out of it. It's that and a matter of the few times I didn't have homework assignments that I graded, then I discovered students wouldn't do homework at all and they ended up failing tests. So, uh, if you have any ideas about how to better address that, let me know too. So, thanks everyone. Have a good day, and I will see you again next week. Do keep an eye out for your emails. Bye bye.